Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. I'm also known as Lisa Mighty Davis, lots of other things. Anyway, excited to bring you my friend William. You guys know him as I Am for I Am on Twitter or X. You can also find him on Den Social. I Am for I Am We. Sorry, don't leave the we out on Twitter social. I don't know if you're that on. We'll just ask him ourselves. I'll be right back with William right after this. Welcome, Emperor. I Am for I Am. I need a little help, a little clarification. I think
You're interrupting my thoughts. I just figured out the meaning of life. I was this close, Lisa. You interrupted my thoughts.
I know. I have a habit of that, apparently.
So what did you need my help on?
I need your help on several things. The first one, I want to clarify to the community. So on den.social, you are I am for the number 4, I am.
That's correct.
On X or Twitter, you are I am for I am we.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm so glad that you're
it is I am for I am we on YouTube as well.
On YouTube as well. Oh, okay. We'll have to go subscribe.
Yeah, the we was added because without the we, it wasn't available on certain platforms.
Oh, okay.
And then I didn't standardize it, but it sure makes sense. I mean, I am is for my wife and my name.
I know. I love that.
Miriam, and I'm William. So I am.
Yes.
I am.
Very
and
sweet.
And then we're together. We're here for each other. There you go.
Oh, I thought it was for we the people.
No.
I was including all of them.
It's a husband and wife thing.
Oh, well, that's even better. That's super sweet.
Yes.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Well, so you have put some work in behind the scenes for sure to talk about the petrodollar, maintaining.
That's right.
That's petrodollar. Right. So
the lies and deceit, Lisa. Whoever they are, keep lying to us.
Yeah.
And they've been lying to us for decades.
About
they've inserted it into our school books.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm going to be the professor tonight. And I should take roll call. Has anyone seen the Keel and Peele substitute teacher one? Aaron. And
yes.
D-Nice. Do you feel me? I've taught in the inner city school district for 15 years.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I should take
all the misinformation and efforts to divide us all. Yeah.
Yes.
Or isolate. I guess.
Let's see. We got JB Rants. Skullcap
Savant. We had fun.
Yeah.
We were texting today about some of the
and Tomb.
The football surf. I might have him see if he can come on Wednesday night.
Oh, nice.
To do some stuff
He's
about
sharp.
that. Yes.
He's
really
sharp. He's
really smart guy.
Yeah. He can educate me.
You just can go straight Ebonics. I don't think you could keep it up for the whole episode.
No. I can practice. I'll try.
That's okay. That's all right.
Okay. I will practice.
It's not a goal for me.
Maybe I should make it my goal.
Whatever you would like, Emperor.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Crazy.
Well is like an oil well. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about oil. Okay. And there is somebody that you and I have watched a long time ago, and we've talked about him. He's kind of like one of those people behind the scenes that was in the know and saw different things, was interacting with different people. One of those people behind the scenes that just watched things happen and unfold, the power brokers behind the scenes. And he was a colonel in the Army, and he actually became the Air Force. And he was a pilot, and he would fly around all the generals around the country and around the world.
Interesting. I
And
bet he
Fletcher
overheard a little bit.
Purdy, I think is his name.
Okay.
Fletcher, hang on. Get
Should
his
I
right name
search him
here.
up?
Ah, now I can't find the right one. Prouty, Fletcher Prouty, and he had explained the whole oil conundrum, and I'd already heard the story because I was involved in various logistics operations and always dealing with fuel prices or whatever. So I'd always was fascinated by the concept of oil. And we have our petrodollar, which after, Nixon took us off the gold standard, we kind of rolled into this petrodollar thing. But petro or oil is not what we think. We've been lied to over and over and over. So
About
much
many
in our
things.
school books. Yes.
Yes.
So I got a presentation for you. If we could go ahead and share the screen here. Here's our thumbnail. It's lies, lies, and more lies. Maintain the petrodollar. I'm going to make this large for us. Hang on here, slideshow. Beginning. Can you see that okay?
It didn't change for me.
Okay. Because now I can't see you. So just so you know.
So it still shows the it's the same size, and you have all this all the slides on the side.
Oh, okay. Well,
viewing for me. So it only does that for you.
All right. Unfortunately. Okay. Well, we're just going to go with it like this.
Okay.
So, we were taught that there was one origin or oil story. That's hard to say. One oil origin story. And that basically they came from fossil fuels, plant matter, plankton, dinosaurs, and millions and millions of years ago. They died, and then soil covered them up, and the compressed, and all of that material, plant material, became the oil, the goo, the natural gas that we use today, and which are termed fossil fuels. And many of us have heard the term peak oil. Peak oil meaning, that there's a limited supply, scarcity, which we're going to run out, and the price is going to go up, and these kinds of things. And it's what I'm telling you is it's all a lie. And Lisa, I know you've heard this before, but what if there was another origin story for oil? And that's called abiotic oil. Biotic is just like bio or biology, right? Or biomass. Abiotic just means it's not biomass. It's not biotic. And so we're saying that it has a different origin. And abiotic oil theory is the concept that deep within the Earth's crust, there's a biological process, but it's actually a non-biological process with all of the minerals and the heat and the pressure that creates this chemical reaction. And this chemical reaction combines to create oil and natural gas. So it's a natural process that deep within the mantle, and where the crust and the mantle are coming together, is creating oil, and that percolates up. And so some places it's closer to the surface. Sometimes it bubbles up over the surface, like it did in Oklahoma way back when, right? Where they found lots of oil. And then there's other places where it's far, it's really deep, 30,000 feet or more. So this is a theory called abiotic oil. Well, where does that theory come from? It comes from this guy, Dmitry Mendeleev.
Goodness.
Yeah. Mendeleev. Mendeleev. Someone who's Russian can help me, but he's actually a Russian. And these are the pictures, some pictures I put up of him. And he is also known, he is not some quack but he was a true scientist. And this is where he believed the oil actually came from. He's also known as the father of the modern periodic table.
Oh,
So
you're kidding me.
science recognizes him as a great scientist mind, a scientific mind, proven, and they will adopt his modern periodic table, but they throw out in the West, in Europe, in the US,
Mhm.
they throw out the idea of abiotic oil. Whereas Russia has always kind of adopted this and believed this. And a lot of other, like Eastern Bloc countries, have believed this. And this was in their children's textbooks.
So
Our
in
children,
his, I'm sorry to interrupt you, in
yeah,
his
go ahead.
periodic table, does it have all of the elements, or is it the original? Is it the original one with all of the elements that some other countries, I guess, do look at or agree, or is it the bastardized, the U.S. version of the periodic table that doesn't have ether and things like that?
Right, right. Well, he lived in the his peak probably in his science world was 1860s, 1880s. I think he died, forgive me, I might be wrong, but I think he died in like 1908, something like that.
Okay.
So whatever the modern periodic table was at the turn of that century, okay, the 20th century, is the table that the world adopted based off of his scientific method that he applied to create the table, the periodic table. Um, so I can't speak to if it included ether or not at that point, but he is widely known as the father of the modern periodic table. Okay. Now, so the Eastern world believes that oil is naturally created by the Earth's crust, and it's not biotic, meaning from carbon leftovers from living plant life or mammals or dinosaurs or what have you. Now, the Germans during World War II, they had a problem because Rommel got defeated in North Africa and they were trying to march over towards Saudi Arabia to be able to have enough oil to continue the war. So that's why North Africa was so critical. But the British and the US pushed him out, and Germany ended up losing North Africa. And as Americans, we went into Sicily and then up the Italian boot, right? But so the Germans now got cut off of the oil from the Middle East. So they had to come up with another method. And what they came up with was liquefaction of coal. And liquefaction of coal is much like what we are describing here with abiotic oil. It's with heat and compression and these kinds of things. Well, the scientists that had developed this process of creating like diesel, gasoline, and oil from coal, from a liquefaction process, those scientists, well, we didn't want them to fall into Stalin's hands. So after the war, guess what? We snatched them up, and they were part of the Operation Paperclip. Some of those scientists that came over to the U.S.
Also known
Ironic.
as NASA.
Yes. And those scientists, obviously, what did they do? They believed in abiotic oil as well. So is this just gobbledygook theory, East versus West? How much truth is there to it? And well, there's a lot of good evidence. There's deep drilling rigs, like in Sweden. They found oil deep, deep underground, far below, like about 16,000 feet in most places. If you go below 16,000 feet under the surface, you're just not going to find anything that's left over from plant life or dinosaurs. You're below the living record, shall we say.
Okay.
So Sweden, in some of their deep oil wells, 25,000, 30,000 feet, they're finding oil. That doesn't make sense if you're going to say oil is from plant life.
Right.
It proves more abiotic oil theory, right? That it's a mantle process. Well, Russia, of course, their experience the same thing. The Soviets were drilling offshore and in their tundra and this kind of thing, and they're going deep down or drilling in places where there should not be any oil, but they're finding oil. Because why? It's abiotic. It's not biotic. It's not a fossil fuel. It's kind of interesting.
All the lies. Yeah.
Yes. So science today, there's a lot of research on this, but in the Western world, the Western scientists, they just can't get funding to prove it the other way around. You know,
Ah,
they're not going to get any kind of grant money to say oil is abiotic. And
even
but
from
there's
the coal plants or the coal industry then?
no. They're not going
No.
to shake it
Okay.
up. They're not going to shake that up. Good question though. But there's even more evidence. The hydrothermal vents way deep down in the deep ocean, there's these chimneys, and they're just spewing methane gas, and oil is seeping out. And there's even pockets of methane gas deep on the ocean floor in some places. And if that were to bubble up and go all the way to the surface and pop and let all that methane gas into the atmosphere, it would be disastrous and huge effect on the climate. But they know that these huge pockets of methane gas is sitting on the ocean floor in different places. But these thermal vents are spewing this methane gas, and that doesn't really make sense. In some ways, scientists can point both directions, but in more so, it points because these are areas where the crust is new and fresh and coming up out of the mantle. It's in those thermal vents deep in deep ocean floor is where they're finding these hydrocarbons, which doesn't make sense because the dinosaurs aren't there at that location, right? They certainly weren't. Now, I think, and this is my best evidence, I believe, is the moon Titan, which is a moon of Saturn, one of Saturn's moons.
Okay.
It has an atmosphere of methane, and it has different cycles of methane cycles, and it also is volcanic in nature. These images I'm showing you are actual images of the Titan moon. And there are actual lakes on Titan that are lakes of methane, liquefied methane on the moon of Titan. So the question is, was there biotic life? Were there plants or dinosaurs that were walking on the moon of Titan millions and millions and millions of years ago? And so much so that it created an atmosphere of methane, and this methane is still bubbling up to the surface today? I don't think so. Nothing that we know of for a life that could exist in this format
Right.
could create this methane gas. And Titan is not the only place that we've discovered what we think is methane out there in the universe. So this also helps prove that scientist way back when in Russia was right. Um, here's another example. We know that in oil rigs, they'll drill it until it's dry, or it's just not cost effective to pump anymore. And so that's number one. Number two, it's now bone dry. And they've gone back, and Sweden has talked about this before too.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go back 20, 30 years later to the same oil point, and they're pulling up maybe not the same quality of oil, but they're still pulling up oil from the same shaft, basically. So where did that oil come from? Did it just leak back in, kind of like an underwater cave, and fill back up? Or is the earth naturally producing this oil and it's seeping up to the surface back into these spots? It kind of leads you to maybe a
Was it
scientific
being
sample size.
recreated lower or further and bubbling up? Like
Right.
it wasn't there before.
So, the old Sinclair oil company, where they had their fossil fuel dinosaur there, Sinclair Oil Company. This is the debate that's really going on: is where does oil come from? Is it really something that is created by the earth in its pressure and heat and just the right materials that are present at that point, location, and time, and is creating oil? Or is it really a biomass product that just got covered, and over time, kind of like how we talk about how a diamond is made from coal, right?
Right.
So if a diamond is made from coal, from heat and pressure, isn't it possible that oil can be made the same way?
Sure.
So this brings up the next question. if oil is abiotic and it's a natural process that, just like on Titan, that our Earth's crust is creating oil, then oil is actually, it's not a case of peak oil. We're not going to run out. So it's not as scarce as we say or think. So what should be the price of oil comes into question. Ooh, the petrodollar comes into question. But it gets even further down the roll is okay, this is a natural resource and it's regenerative. So does that mean that we could probably explore at other places and find oil if we just drill deep enough? What if every country, some countries that don't have oil, just drill deeper into the, into the Earth's crust? Maybe they would come up with oil because of this natural abiotic process. So it would completely change the energy economy and how our world, our planet is run on energy. It's really kind of eye-opening when you think about it.
Maybe they would change the ownership of it at that point, because if it's reproducing by itself, and I mean, that could in theory be another form of free energy if it's always reproducing itself, and
right,
probably shouldn't be owned by a business or a country or whatever. It's the people's, just like the water is supposed to be, every human's water.
Just like abiotic oil is now, what's the word? I just had it. I keep forgetting the word. It's not just resource, but it's renewable. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
They always talk about oil is a carbon, it's bad, and it's not renewable. Well, in this if it's abiotic, which I tend to believe it is, then it is renewable. It's a renewable oil. It's renewable energy source. So the lies are just that. We've been lied to our great grandchildren when they were in school, in the books, which was inserted that it was a fossil fuel. And when in fact, it probably never was a fossil fuel. It was in limited supply, when in fact, no, it's not limited supply. It's regenerative. It's renewable. It really turns everything upside down when we are an energy economy, right? And so then we think about, well, why are they doing this? Because who would win? Who would benefit from this? Well, the oil companies aren't going to win from this idea. And oil companies and coal companies kind of are friends, because their enemies are, they're both share the same enemies, so they're friends, right? So the government is going to want us to deflect from the idea of being abiotic. They want to detour or deter us from talking about this or researching this. They want to omit the facts. They want to lie about it, and they want to cheat and say, no, we need to, this is where sometimes the oil companies will get involved in renewable technology like wind power and solar and this kind of thing, and then they will get gathered all together and fight nuclear power, and so they're joxing for position, but they're really cheating we the people, or the public, because they allow the idea of it being carbon based and it's bad, and it's bad for the environment and climate change. So the oil price is really a scam. The green energy is a scam. The climate change is a scam. And it's all about deflect and lies and cheats. Look at Saudi Arabia. They definitely need the oil. Russia needs the oil. So Russia is not going to actually, even though they might believe it's abiotic, geologists here in this country that work for the oil companies, they probably believe it's abiotic. But, who knows? They probably sign an NDA saying, shh, don't say it's abiotic. Let everyone think that it's, a resource that's going to run out. We're not going to have enough of it. And this brings us I got 2 slides left. First of, we talked about a few weeks ago. These are really good. This was really eye-opening. The idea of the top secret drones, the New Jersey drones, the missing flight, Malaysian flight MH370, and the Cybertruck bomb, how they're all related. But it all came back to 0-point energy.
Right.
Gravitic drones being able to work with plasma and create, like, shall we say, I'll give you Star Trek lingo, a force field so that they can move at high rates of speed, and not have all those G forces that we would think of, or all those things about, because they're actually creating a shield around them so they can move without any kind of resistance to slow them down or this kind of thing. Well, that requires 0-point energy, which is just like our old Russian scientist friend. There are physicists that believe in this concept or have patents in different technologies that would all come together and create this energy, this 0-point energy. And I encourage you folks to go back and watch these 2 videos if you haven't, which brings us, that's how this whole energy picture ties back in. So now we have a history, a past, where Standard Oil, Rockefeller, went back and changed it. And this is where that Colonel Pratty, whatever his name is, Fletcher Purdy, talked about it in a video. And he said that we actually paid these scientists to go to Helsinki in this big meeting, and they gave their presentation. And then the world decided, at least the Western world decided, oh, well, it has these different markers of carbon within oil, so we'll call it a fossil fuel. And that's where the term fossil fuel came. It came like at the early 1900s, when in fact Rockefeller knew it wasn't a fossil fuel.
Right.
It was just a trick. It was a trick, and to give us the illusion that there wasn't enough oil and that we were going to have to pay a lot more for this oil and this energy. Well, 0-point energy changes all that as well. So they're going to want to keep our scientists, at bay. They're not going to want our scientists to really dig at this. They want to deflect and deter research into abiotic oil. Well, they want to deflect and deter the idea of UFOs, but the UFOs are really maybe some of them could be our own equipment,
right,
using 0-point energy. So there we have it. 0-point energy hopefully is our future. Hopefully we have these beautiful green fields and a bright sun and blue sky and white fluffy clouds.
And no chemtrails.
And the problem with 0-point energy is if we know how to produce it, just anyone can get a hold of it. And like I've said before, in this glass of water, just half of it, you could boil off all the oceans in the world with the energy that's kept in there, in that ether. So when we love each other and stop trying to kill one another, we'll be ready for ZPE, or 0-point energy. So there you have it. Abiotic oil.
Abiotic oil.
And I happen to be a proponent. I believe our Russian scientists. How about that?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, to me, it was, my parents were in the oil and gas industry. I was raised in Houston, the majority of my life, Arizona first, but then Houston. And so very much all about the oil industry and learning things and whatever. And yeah, the story about dinosaurs never made sense to me as well.
Yeah.
And you watch how Mother Earth takes over. Look what happened in Detroit, Michigan. And you cannot stop Mother Earth from growing and producing and creating. She ate that downtown city in just a few years, took it back. The other thing is, if you believe I can't remember whose scientific theory, but that energy cannot be created or destroyed.
Right.
Then
it equals MC squared.
Right. It doesn't matter how much we use, but it won't matter. Me and my dorky homeschool
No, it's
mom.
okay. I use it all the time with Gin Social and Matter,
Okay.
the Matter
The
token.
matter.
A few of them.
Yeah. So it would make sense that it's just, being recycled. We're always recycling any of those resources because if they're energy.
Bingo. You're right. You're right, Lisa. You're right. We can stop sharing the screen now if you
Okay.
like.
This was super interesting, and I loved going through the history of it. It made me also think of, another resource was that hemp, and
Yes.
but that those same families, right, they owned lumber instead, and so they got laws passed not to use hemp, even though it's way more easily reproduced, recycled, reproduced. It's cheaper, all of that. But that wasn't allowed because they wanted them to turn to an alternative, which was lumber, so that the families, that everyone should know their names, would get the money for.
Yep. William Randolph Hearst owned most of the forests that were used for creating, that we use for paper. And he owned the majority of the newspapers in the country. He was the first mogul that was really owned all of social media, because at the time social media was print media. And he was the one that created the idea of yellow journalism and sensationalized news and sensationalism to bring people to read these newspapers. Well, he wanted to control the paper price, and to control the paper price, he went out and bought all this forest land that was going to be used to log for paper. So when hemp came about, he got it with his rich buddies, the Gilded Age at times, and that kind of thing, like Rockefeller. But William Randolph Hearst was the one who wanted to control it. And, it was one of those things. If he controlled the newspapers, and he controlled the narrative, and he could write in there and put, various people could write in and state things about hemp, and he could pay for the legislation to get it stopped.
That's interesting because people do that even now. They say, where's the link? Show me the link. But if there's just a fact, or you experience something, they're less likely to believe you or whatever, but show them a link on the internet, which anyone can create a web page and put anything they want on it. It does not make it more true or less true. But for some reason, ours is that psychology, so he knew how powerful that was. Oh, he can put whatever he wants in print, and then he controls the narrative, and people are still doing it today with the internet. So,
the story of was it Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders and going up San Juan Hill? That was all him. The Maine, remember the Maine, the battleship that blew up. The Maine. Well, remember the Maine? Well, that was all him. The Lusitania, that was all him. That was William Randolph Hearst. So that would be a good show to go over is William Randolph Hearst.
The scandalous lies that he
Yeah.
put out there just to sell more of his paper versus as he stands against hemp, which is like way more, if you want to be green and good for the earth, way more recyclable. Wild.
Well, Lisa, it's sad that we're going to probably have to end the show now because, since the last time we spoke, there was no news that happened. So
I know.
It's
I
been
don't
a
even
week
know.
and nothing has happened. I haven't seen any change out there at all.
So
what a boring time in America.
As you say that, I'm like, things are happening so fast, and so many things are happening in each day. And then we tweet about them, we Facebook, we talk about them, we send them to our friends, and then we almost forget them because what's next?
Yes.
Which reminds me kind of the newspaper thing as well. Because I would literally have to go back and be like, okay, well, I know all the chaos with the Super Bowl stuff and all the messaging that was sent during halftime. And was that really exposing that there's always been corruption in sports,
Oh, yeah.
football, all of them.
Yeah.
Just like with the Mike Tyson fight, it exposed, hey guys, look at their contract. They have a contract. You already know who's going to win before you start. Going back to, then we go back to, oh, there was an Alaskan flight, which they couldn't find it at first. So
right.
I posted something about that and sent it to you because I was like, oh no, another plasma blast of an airplane.
I know. Who was on the plane is what I thought was.
Yeah, because there were only like 10 girls. There were only like 10 people on the plane.
Right.
So I thought, oh no.
The sad thing is what I understood from, and I don't know what the final outcome was, but I understood that they went in a holding pattern around Nome Airport, and it was bad weather conditions, waiting for the runway to get clean or cleared,
de-iced or something.
The runway needed to be, they needed to run the trucks to move the snow so the plane could land on the runway, and probably their wings got too heavy, and de-icing didn't work on the plane and probably brought them down. That's what I was thinking when I heard they were in a holding pattern around the airport, waiting for the runway to be cleaned.
But the fact that it was missing for a while.
Yeah.
Like, how is an airplane missing when it crashes? And it was near the airport, like they're circling the airport.
Right.
But it's missing. And then it's like when too many people push back on it. Oh no, we found it.
Yeah, well, it was also really bad weather conditions I went back and looked at like Nome and this kind of thing, and I got kind of an affinity for Alaska just because I was born in Alaska. So you look at the bad weather up there, it's like, oof.
It's a different kind of bad weather. Yeah. My son-in-law's from Juneau.
And the plane, if it was getting heavy or even if it was a mechanical failure, it still has a glide point. So they're they don't know at the glide point if it's turning right, turning left, going straight. So they're going to have a general area or idea where it's at.
Where it would be, yeah.
So if they know it's within a 10 square mile, they can still call it missing.
I guess, technically.
Unlike the Malaysian flight MH370.
Which is totally a different, which we did great videos on. You guys should watch those. But there was also an announcement that Elon was going to be looking into NOAA. And I wondered what your thoughts were on that. Do you think you would ever find corruption in NOAA?
Who's Elon?
Oh, that guy on, Twitter.
Oh, yeah. That guy. The savant, the really sharp.
With his army of geniuses.
On the spectrum a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay. Because my daily weather is not the temperature outside. I'm a little crazy. I know. Some of you, that might be a shock, but so my morning routine for my weather is I want to look at the sun. So I look at, were there any CMEs last night? What's the solar winds look like? Where are we at there? So I look at that.
Interesting.
And what's funny is there's a guy, Suspicious Observers, and I don't agree with his catastrophe position, but everything of what he says about the sun, from that perspective, other than a micronova, I agree with. And he's got some of the great material, and he does a daily show every morning, almost like clockwork, 7 days a week on the sun. It comes out about 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning.
And did you say this is Suspicious Observer?
Yes, and it's also spacenews.com, I think. Don't get too lost in the whole Earth's crust flipping. Don't go there in his belief or his thinking. But he talks about NOAA.
The pole shifting.
Pole shift, the electromagnetic pole shift. He talks about that a lot. And so is another guy that I like. Well, anyway, going back to the NOAA thing. So he will post, maybe it's monthly or quarterly, NOAA posts a picture of the globe and the temperatures, and it shows blue and red and pinks around the world and what the temperature is. And what they do is they go in and they change it. They'll like say, from the hue of bright dark red to, light blue. And let's say that each color is given a number. So the map will show the various colors. But what
Okay.
they'll do is they'll go in there into the code and they'll change it and they'll go +5. So now pink becomes red and red becomes fire. And there are no more light blues. You know what I mean? It's all kind of grays to white to red to pink. And NOAA changes that because it makes us look like, oh my gosh, the planet's burning up. Oh my gosh, look at last year compared to this year. The planet's warmer. It's getting warmer every year, every quarter, every month. It's getting warmer. It's climate change. Oh my gosh. You
I was
know,
going to say that sounds like
and so he says, points
story
it out,
a good
and
story.
he shows, here's the real NOAA, and here is the NOAA's release data after it's been massaged. And they're both from NOAA. So when you said that Elon looking at NOAA, it's like, yeah, makes sense because they're manipulating weather data. And if they're manipulating weather data, then that's helping the catalyst for climate change and all this other BS that goes with it.
Right.
So it's like picking at the source. No, your source data is wrong. Here's your proof.
Well, didn't we talk about that one day on WBRT, and they had someone brought it up, it may have been you, saying that if you go back in history and look at where they used to collect temperature readings,
yes,
and then it got moved to airports because of all the tarmac. Because think about back in the day, they weren't concrete even, they were black asphalt or whatever. And so they would naturally measure higher, but they moved it to the airport. I thought that was interesting.
And the airports used to be outside the city. So even when they moved them to the airport, it may have made it go up a little bit. But then as the city grew towards the airports, then there's all the city heat and you get an ozone around the city that traps more heat. So then the temperatures just continue to climb, where in fact ice core data is more accurate and goes further back. I don't trust our mercury that we had in our thermometers 200 years ago, because the guy was carving out, okay, this is 10 degrees, this is 15 degrees on his piece of wood.
Right.
Oh, oops, I made that line a little crooked. Well, it's okay. I'll get the next thermometer correct. 20 degrees, 25 degrees, hands it off to his friend and does the next one. Yeah.
It's 20-ish.
20-ish. Yeah. Well,
very interesting. I just can't wait so if Elon, I love him looking at, of course, everybody cares about, and it gets their attention looking at the money and the financial corruption and all that. But if now the hearing he's looking at NOAA about things like that, I don't think that's misspending that he'll be looking for. I think he's going to be looking for different kinds of facts, falsehoods. Just totally guessing, but that kind of goes with what you're saying as well. I'm ready for him to start focusing on the census.
Oh, well, that'll be interesting. Yeah, but see, there again, on the census side, there were a lot of people that just didn't want to get counted because they knew they were here illegally. So they weren't counted and they didn't want to get counted. So that is, in effect, inaccurate already. So we're already inaccurate that way. But then we're inaccurate because Trump lost the Supreme Court ruling on, are you a citizen or not a citizen? That was, remember, he wanted that way back then.
The states deciding or whatever. But also he did uncover that the Social Security has been paying like however many million 112-year-olds. So who are those people? Are those really
wealthy billionaires that have been doing kind of blood therapy, shall we say, and they live to be 112?
No,
that's who they are.
Those are illegal.
They're collecting their Social Security.
Dead people's Social Security numbers.
What?
My dog's gonna lose. I said those are illegals using dead people's Social Security numbers. My dog's gonna lose her mind, so I've got to let her out really quick. Hold on.
Okay. Well, everybody, now it's just me and you and no Lisa. So we're not going to talk about Lisa. We're just going to talk about, I don't know, there's no news happening, so there's nothing to report in the news. Well, oh, wait, there is one thing. Tomorrow is Truth Tuesday. So on Truth Tuesday is where you get the real down true truth. And so be sure to tune in to Sean and Lisa's show on Truth Tuesday. Truth Tuesday is usually in the afternoon. Today is Manic Monday, and I'm a little crazy manic, but tomorrow is Truth Tuesday. So
That's
I covered for you, Lisa.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, wait a minute. And then Thursday is World Blockchain Roundtable.
Yes.
And if you follow it on World Blockchain Roundtable on Lisa's channel, she's live streaming it. Well, Sean will live stream it. But if you don't know where to find it, just go to Dragon Chain. Look for it on Dragon Chain. And you find it that way.
Preferred. I share it to get more people watching, but
I'm
I
glad
always want to give credit to the original source. And this week, I believe Skullcap Savant is going to be joining me on Wednesday. Apparently he is.
Yeah, and with balloons.
With balloons. And that will be fun because we're going to talk about all the comms, VSTEG, ZSTEG, the game over thing, all of that that was playing out at the football thing.
Guess what? I didn't watch the game. I haven't watched the Super Bowl in years.
I only watched to see the commercials because Elon was promising all this exposure. He was going to well, there was a rumor. I shouldn't say Elon was promising. There was a rumor he paid $40 million and that he was doing the going to expose on the commercials all the corruption that he'd found so far. But really, I mean, they've been talking about it. Several people have been talking about it. Several senators. The news is talking about it. It's not like you can't find the information. It's pretty much obvious. But
well, Super Bowl Sunday. Here's funny. So I'm not going to watch it now. My daughter, she's got a big thing, and everyone's going to go to her place to watch the Super Bowl. The wife, everybody, and so they all went. And I said, "Well, I'm not going to watch. I just, I'd rather watch a documentary. I know it's crazy. It's like, I used to be a big football fan, but anyway, so I had this house all to myself, by myself in this house, and it's like never get to be in the house by myself. I was like, yes." The Super Bowl's probably like 4 hours, 5 hours. By the time they watch all pregame and feud and all this, 5 hours in the house myself. And I'm sitting there and I got the dogs and I'm eating a little snack and they just left. And I look outside and go, oh, I got to move the compost pile. That's what I'm going to do. And so I go out and I'm shoveling dirt and moving the compost pile to another location in the back. And I'm just about done. I kind of wore out and I go, oh, man, I just wasted an hour doing this. I only got 4 hours left and it's the house all to myself. I'm looking up at the house and going, what am I doing out here?
I was going to say that was a way to escape and go outside. You should have saved that project for later when everything's got crazy inside the house.
Thinking, Lisa? What was I thinking? So it's kind of like Home Alone, I'm at home. I'm eating ice cream and junk that I shouldn't be eating.
Somebody better come out and get me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
That was my Super Bowl story.
Good stuff. The other things were, oh my gosh, there's so many things. Japan is passing a Bitcoin ETF and taking no taxes from crypto, which is kind of mirroring what the US is kind of starting to do. We just had the Litecoin ETF roll out or the licensing for it or whatever.
Here's a question of the community about Japan. So they're just printing and printing and printing and monetizing their debt over and over and over and over and over. They're far worse than we are. So does that mean we have more life left in us? Because we're not as far down that road as Japan is?
I don't know. Because I think it's my understanding that the Japanese markets and the US markets are tied together quite a bit. And so like one thing would take it. Yes, Reggie has a new patent and he did a great video. If you guys haven't already ordered your Veritasium silver, you might want to consider it. Not
financial advice, but do your own research.
Definitely not financial advice. I will tell you that I did order some. They haven't come out yet, but the timing of this is interesting. Like I said, Reggie's has, I think, 4 patents in Japan and 3 in the US. I could have that backwards. I apologize if I do. And he's back in court, which was kind of news to me. I had heard that a couple days ago.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and that surprised me. But I wish him all the best, and I was really excited about this because when it's a 15-minute video, so you guys should each go look at it. Follow Reggie Milton on Twitter or X, and he explains the technology of the NFT on the silver coin, and I was like, oh, maybe that's what those ITMs are for that we've been talking about for so long. So
maybe so.
We'll see.
Cool.
Yeah. So good stuff. Yeah, it's going to be a great week. Tuesday should be lots of fun and I can't wait to talk about all the you guys know I geek out and love all the woo-woo stuff about the football stuff. So, which I don't love football at all. So it was the only thing I was watching for.
I had a theory. I guess I should have taken it to Vegas. But my theory on the Super Bowl game was this. Okay, this is the year of the Trump. So Trump wins, big victory. The whole country is shifting to the right. And there is Kelsey and his girlfriend
who are getting booed terribly.
Right. And I was going to say, so the momentum has changed a different direction. And so if I was going to bed, I was going to put it on the birds, just, the Eagles, because it's a Trump year. It's kind of like you're the Trump, you're the dragon, you're whatever. Yeah. And so that's how I was looking at it, as all that energy and momentum was going to that side. I wasn't getting into the statistics like I used to, like who's got the better defense, because defense wins Super Bowls. That used to be the mantra, and this kind of thing. I wasn't getting into all of that, and I don't follow it anymore. But in my mind, in my head, I was thinking
it
about
made
that
sense that the American Eagle, the Eagles would win.
Yeah. It all lines up, right? It all lines up that way. So that's what I was thinking.
Definitely does. Here's the Bitcoin ETF and cut taxes. I'm sorry, not get rid of taxes completely on the Japan thing from 50% to 20%, which I can't believe they would charge 50%.
Well, that's a huge.
So that is a big deal.
50 is an ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Well, that's what
maybe Japan will actually start doing something in crypto.
Yeah.
If they had a 50% tax rate on crypto.
So. And of course, the most exciting on the way to the Super Bowl, Trump was flying over the Gulf of America.
Oh, yeah, it's a single.
Yeah. Which makes sense. This does not say Gulf of USA. That is, we live in North America, and then there's South America. Why would it not be the Gulf of the Americas or Gulf of America? As in,
it really ticks me off, Lisa. Now you got me upset because it should be the Gulf of Texas.
Oh my. I think there's another country with more shoreline. Maybe not. Well, I don't know if you'd count Florida.
Well, just our section right there.
Just your one section. You can call that section whatever you
want.
The
Gulf of Texas.
The Gulf of Texas. Yes.
Oh
definitely.
My goodness. Oh my goodness.
Well, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Fun.
And I'm ready to
Wes would have a good birthday. I was out.
Have a good birthday.
This is on Friday, so I wasn't able to join you on Spaces.
Yeah, we had. I think I jumped off before midnight, and usually they stay up till like 2, 3, 4 a.m.
Right,
I don't know. But there's just a bunch of really great people in that group.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and I really respect a lot of their views. And it's in a position where like we can disagree about something or have a conversation about something, and everybody, because they know, like, sorry, my dog's gonna go nuts.
I don't hear it.
Good, because she's trying to get in. It's really cold outside, so I need to let her in. Yeah, it's a great group, and you can speak your mind, ask questions. Everybody will consider anything and like just be there to kind of talk through it. And it's a really great group. So join us on Friday nights as well. All right. Well, I'm going to go let my dog in because she's tiny and she's freezing, and I need to go let her in. She's been out for a whole 3 minutes or something, but all right. Thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And everybody out there in the chat, please go to din.social. things are going to happen over there. Not financial advice, but there happens to be a token called Matter. There's only 1.8 million of them. And it's kind of just sitting out there.
That's interesting. And you can
75% of it
work.
is in the smart contract. Only 10, 11% is available for sale.
And you can do work and earn merit.
Yes.
By getting your Matter. All right. Love to you all.
Thank you so much, everybody.
See you soon.